What's going on, everyone? It's Mitch from RespectMyRegion.com, joined by co-host Joey Brabo. We're here with the 48th episode of the Morning Joint. How you doing today, Joey?
Man, good morning, Mitch. How are you? We got a very exciting guest today.
Yeah, we got a nice little episode, man. We got a special guest coming in the middle of today's news segment to talk about an exciting opportunity with one of California's hottest cannabis brands, man. Excited to dive into that in a minute. But before we get there, we're going to run through some of the news that came out, some of the top cannabis and music news that was released over the last week. If you subscribe to our newsletter, a lot of these topics will be sliding into your inbox here shortly, around in about an hour. So first up today, man, the High Rise Gang out of California, joined by Jimmy Devine and John Capetta of High Times, went out to Thailand to document the legal yet unregulated Thai industry. For a lot of cannabis fans, I know, the head honcho of Cookies Burners out there right now documenting some of his journeys out there at the Cookies opening store. But High Rise went out there to kind of give some insight into what cannabis is looking like. In June of last year, the Thai government legalized cannabis, but it's kind of in that weird phase where it's legal, but there's not a regulated system set up. But the government also kind of just opened it up to the people to kind of do what they please for the time being, and engage in the commerce and the consumption of cannabis kind of risk-free. So it's looking a lot like, maybe New York of last year, or California early, but even on a more grandiose level. So Joey, I don't know what you've been peeping out of Thailand, but it's looking like there's dispensaries and street vendors on every corner seemingly. I don't know, I haven't been out there, but it's looking like the wild, wild west, man.
Man, from the videos that I've seen, Mitch, it's been very clear that Thailand is, if you would, a free for all for cannabis. We're in that awkward time period where it hasn't yet become fully recreational legal yet, and you have all of these different pop-up shops, not just on every corner, Mitch. We're talking about multiples lined up next to each other on most blocks. Obviously, certain areas oversaturated compared to others, just probably due to real estate and where foot traffic is. But yes, it's a very exciting time out there in Thailand. I have been following our good friend Monica Garcia's adventures out there with her company. I think it's Cloud 11 Consulting is what her group is called. And then obviously, yes, Josh Schmidt, one of the partners in Thailand Cookies, is out there right now giving Burner a tour. I see the California Leaf group out there as well. So big shout out to High Rise for showcasing what the culture is going on like out there. I saw them smoking a Thai stick. Super cool. Really, really, really unique time frame out there. It's like history of old meets the future right now.
And international, right? Like one of my biggest takeaways from watching that was, like, obviously Thailand has such a unique place in cannabis history with the strains, like obviously like a purple Thai, like you said, the Thai stick. And it's just proximity to Asia, right? A lot of cannabis a lot of these strains originated in like India and migrated to Thailand before they went a lot of places. So you have so much like lineage, like plant lineage in that area, but they're also crossing strains with California hype strains and creating kind of these new landrace meets hype, designer genetics. So it's just a unique time. And then obviously thinking about cannabis tourism, like so much often when we talk about that, we kind of go to the de facto Amsterdam, and then now that Las Vegas is coming online, but you forget there's so many places across the globe that can contribute such unique experiences and cultivars to cannabis tourism. So again, yeah, like you said, shout out High Rise. I mean, they went out there and they turned around a 30-minute documentary in like, it feels like a 2-week, 3-week time span. And as a content creator, that's a pretty big feat, man. So real big salute to them. I definitely reached out to them personally and was like, wow, man, I can't, really impressed that you guys turned around a long form piece of content like this. So
Come on, man. That's the California Golden Boys over there, man. That's the SoCal Golden Child team, man. They got the squad. They do great work. It was very impressive, and I enjoyed watching it. I would love to watch more of that.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And so, next up on our cannabis news, Berkshire Roots launched a Cookies Corner at their Pittsfield dispensary in Western Massachusetts. So for those who are unfamiliar, Cookies has started to open up what they call a Cookies Corner, where they kind of take over a space in a dispensary to showcase a good representation of the brand via products and merchandise and things like that. And Berkshire Roots is a vertically integrated company in Massachusetts, a company that we're really big fans of some of the stuff they do in-house, but now teaming up with cookies, they're offering their consumers, a really good lineup of the cookies genetics and products. But it's kind of special, that Cookies Corner, because Western Massachusetts, it sits very close, that Pittsfield area sits very close to the border of New York. So while New York is still coming online and there is a cookie store in New York, it's not really quite operational. So for people in the state of New York, driving to this border town dispensary, it is like the closest place to New York and a lot of Massachusetts where you can get official and a full lineup of cookies products. And it's a really cool store, and they set it up real nice. So Berkshire Roots opened up that Cookies Corner in Western Mass, man, and it's looking real dope. So we got a news article on the site about that.
Yo, the fact is, Berkshire Roots is killing the game in mass, and Cookies is killing the game worldwide. Two of those collaborating and uniting together amplifies the ability for Cookies to get great weed, or just good weed, depending on your view of cookies, to more people. Berkshire Roots, Cookies Corner, big shout out, man. I'm excited. I've been to a bunch of the Cookies Corners. I've been to some Steezy Corners. I've been to some Cookies Corners. They carry fire. It's a mini Cookies experience. I'll take it. It's a win for the people. It's a win for the culture. Fuck anybody that hates on cookies.
Yeah, so it's looking it's a dope little setup they got running there, man. Check that out, Berkshire Roots, Cookies
Come on,
Corner.
man. Make sure you guys go try that blue agave. Go try that adios, motherfucker. Don't sleep.
Hey, there we go. Dimitri, I see you popping in there out of AZ, man. What up? Mita in the house. What's going down, man? Next up on Cannabis News, the Puffco Proxy Droplet released last week. I know, Joey, you wrote a little bit about this, and you're a Puffco user, man. So give the people the info on what's going on with that.
I'm going to keep it 100 entirely on this episode. I'm a Puffco hardware user. I'm not a Puffco, the company, fan. It's one of those things where I like the hardware. I like the creativity. I like the experience. What I don't like is dealing with the company. So big shout out to Grasslands for making sure to build a better relationship out there and trying to build support. Big shout out to Puffco for another successful launch. I personally wanted to write about this because after having a Puffco Peak Pro for the last 2 years and recently getting a Guardian edition, shout out to Grasslands, I am officially a fan of the hardware. Smooth hits, timed hits, clutch, mobility, portability, and this one specifically is absolutely stunning. It might be a little bit more fragile just from a view, like a third-party view. I don't have one in my hand, but aside from that, it does look to be visibly very attractive. So shout out to Puffco for another successful launch of a new product.
They're coming for it. Innovate, man. And last up on Cannabis News, Prince Harry dropped he's got his memoir coming out, but it's been leaking. The Spanish version leaked, and it's kind of unique, man. We got one of the British royals, one of the guys who's under the highest of microscopes, frequently talking about experimenting with psilocybins and smoking cannabis, man. And so we wrote an article just talking about how the royal prince and his discussions on not just using cannabis but how he uses it. I think it further empowers the conversation and helps break the stigma that cannabis can be used for just mental health issues. And when you look at someone like that, who everything that's coming out and this entire reason he's putting out a lot of this content and this memoir is talking about bringing awareness to just mental health, and sitting in a position where it's really stigmatized to not even showcase any emotion. And this guy's coming out and talking about kind of just letting the guard down and letting everything out there. And within that narrative, there's so much talk about how cannabis and psilocybins have just helped this person become aware and deal with a lot of their internal just mental health issues, man. So it's honestly, it's global news, man. And we got the royal prince talking about actively smoking cannabis, man. So
man, we all go through a lot of different pressures throughout life, and so for you to find something that can help you, hats off to that, respect. And then 2, to feel comfortable enough to talk to other people about it. That's another just level. Doesn't matter how famous you are, how high profile, how low profile you are. Just that right there is a feat in itself to be a human to do that. So big shout out to him for having that kind of impact. Also pretty interesting that, you know, he does happen to be the person he is in the royal family and that role. So obviously his impact pretty large just from like I can push publish and this many people see me type of thing. From like a bare minimum to that, or like just doing something in the public, just walking outside is damn near TMZ news for him. And that's, you know, could be everywhere. So it's like, it's huge for him to be able just to, whether he was trying to do that or not, like it's huge.
Absolutely, man. He climbed up. He wasn't on. Now he's climbing up on that list of people, you know, famous people I want to smoke a joint with, man, and pick their brain. But, you know, speaking of that, people that we like smoking joints with, you know, we got a special guest joining us today. We got Abe Miller of Uncle Arnie's, man, going to hop on here and talk about some exciting news for their cannabis beverage and how everyone out there, you guys included, can get some equity in one of the fastest growing cannabis brands in the state of California and one of the fastest growing cannabis beverages that knows no state border, man. So with that being said, we're going to bring him on. Abe, how we doing this morning?
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing, man?
Yo, good morning. How are you doing, my brother?
Good, man. Just drinking a coffee and enjoying MLK Day and just ready to get to it, man. Ready to get to it. Excited to be on here with y'all for the first time. So
absolutely, man. It's an honor. We very much appreciate your time, and also too, we appreciate you taking the creative business model stance and opening up your business to the public for people to actually buy shares of Uncle Arnie's. So we would love. We want to love and appreciate you for being here today, and we'd love to just learn a little bit more about that situation and kind of dive right in.
For sure, man. Yeah, you know, we just started the crowdfunding campaign, trying to take kind of a non-traditional approach to equity crowdfunding and just raising capital in general. You know, the markets right now aren't the best, and we've always been a brand that's kind of been about the people. So, you know, instead of taking the alternative, the traditional route and trying to raise through traditional crowdfunding and things like that, trying to bring it back more in the hands of the people, as I like to say. You know what I'm saying? Like Uncle Arnie's was really built off of a need and necessity for cannabis beverages to be affordable, and more so trying to get people off of the streets and into the stores. And we literally designed the brand around what the buyer wanted and what the customer wanted. So there's no better opportunity than to just give the opportunity to the consumers to invest and own a piece of Uncle Arnie's too, you know? So
absolutely.
And I think it's unique, right? Because like a lot of what you said, to just further unpack, right? Like the cannabis beverage sector is no doubt one of the hottest and most talked about sectors of cannabis as legalization continues to grow, right? Like there's a lot of eyes on beverage, and we just think long-term scalability. A lot of people project this to be, you know, one of the largest sectors of the industry. And like one of my things that I've always enjoyed about Arnie's, you know, I'm not a California resident. I'm there pretty often, but even aside from that, you know, from a distance, right, what I've been a fan of is that just commitment to being, you know, low cost, high dose, and creating a product for the legacy cannabis consumer. Because when we talk about beverages and the excitement of beverages, so much gets pigeonholed into the can of curious, and we see so many products that look beautiful and look like it could, you know, blend right in with the thousands of other SKUs at a Whole Foods, which is great. I'm not knocking it, but it's like these low dose things selling this promise. Hey, cannabis beverages are going to be big, and this is going to be a big segment, where you guys kind of created this product that was like, look, there's this cannabis consumer there that is spending a lot of money, whether it's on the books, off the books. They're spending a lot of money on cannabis. And if you follow that historically through the legacy market, through the medical market, or even Washington, where I'm at, our recreational market, which progressed before California, they cater to the other side of the spectrum. Your 2 milligram, your 5 milligram, I'm not knocking it, but that beverage is not the most in demand. Maybe 20 years down the line, that'll be the most in demand out of all beverages, but there's clearly this demand here where the consumer's at. And that's where I love you guys just really made that commitment to create a brand and a SKU that just backed up with the messaging, the team, the product, the price point, right? It all fell in line with like where the market's at. And that should be a simple formula. Hey, there's a need and a want. Let's create something to satisfy that. But when it comes to cannabis, so many people like are trying to force Tetris pieces that might not fit into it. And you guys were like, look, bro, we're from this. Here, we're going to present the market something that there's a need for. And I think obviously you look at, 4 million in sales, over 1 million SKUs sold in 3-year time span.
Yeah. We started May 2020, and yeah, I love what you note about that, like trying to create the Canna Curious consumer. Like, it's interesting because if you go to other markets, like us expanding into Oregon, for example, they once did have low dose based products, but they've been completely eliminated out of that space just because there wasn't really a need for it, even so much a want. But I think that they both have places to live, and I think people are going to continue to push for low dose beverage because of like the Canna Curious consumer, it being the best way for somebody to be able to onboard to cannabis products for a fast acting side of things. And also, like, it's one of the most familiar ways that we consume just in general, having to drink water to live. And we really were just trying to be like, there's a new way to consume versus like trying to pitch the idea that more people just need to be consuming, like more new people need to be coming into cannabis. A lot of people weren't addressing that market that's there, which is, arguably 60% or more of the cannabis space right now, which is somebody that's already been using cannabis, right? This is now just a different form factor that you're able to consume. That's what I like to say to most people, even buyers too, as well. It's just like, let's think about new ways to consume versus people don't want to consume this way, right? Because you can't eat a gummy forever, and you can't eat a cookie and a brownie forever. And that can't be your forever choice for the next 50 years until the day that you die. And as long as cannabis is legal, right? So it's about creating that new idea of a new way to consume, especially for the legacy consumers too, as well. It's way more precise dosing, way better onset. It's more predictable. And as more brands come out and make better flavor drinks that actually taste really good, that smack really hard, I think more people will continue to onboard a beverage.
Yeah, it's and like what you said too, smack really hard. The 100 milligram dose for someone like me is way too high. However, the ability to dose it out with each of the different measuring, units on using the actual packaging that you guys have built into it, it kind of unites an experience where, all right, I actually get the most bang for my buck with this product. I get varying flavor profiles ranging from teas to juices and things like that. And then we get to actually dose it out to the amount that we want. And for someone like me that does drink numerous beverages, I'll sit here and drink 2 to 4, these low dose seltzers a day. But there's definitely 50% of the time I'm also mixing in various, various like syrups and teas and higher potency things together as well. I love doing that in a group setting, and I love doing that more even I'm just chilling here at the house. I don't drink alcohol anymore. I drink weed drinks. And as long as I've known you, since Arnie's first hit the market back in 2020, I've really enjoyed each of the samples and being able and watching it grow from location to location. It's been quite an enjoyable experience being on the consumer side of all of this, for sure.
Yeah, man, you've been a day one supporter since the beginning. And like you said too, as well, like not drinking alcohol, smoking's been on the decline for the last couple of years. Consumers definitely for sure aren't going to be pushing away from smoking flower for a very long time, just because that's, as old as people making hashish in other countries and smoking hashish. It's just one of the oldest ways that we've been consuming cannabis for a long time. And even too as well, I think in India there's actually like a milk-based cannabis beverage that they actually make. But more people are starting to consume less as new consumers are coming in, and the stigma around cannabis as we continue to open up more markets and it become more legalized, the stigma around smoking flower is still there, and it's a lot of people need that other option to be able to come in and consume. That's why edibles are one of the largest categories, especially gummies too as well. All those Canna Curious people are coming into there. And what you said about alcohol, I mean, 1 out of every 5 Americans are going on dry January and moving away from alcohol. So people are just trying to find other alternatives to be able to use and consume cannabis in other ways to move away just from not drinking alcohol, you know? So
Yeah, absolutely.
like
And I
Blake said right there in the comments, Cali sober for sure.
and I also think it's worth noting that even your legacy, your high flower consuming crowd still consumes edibles, right?
Big time.
Like nobody that consume, I mean, very few people that consume flower. Like I only consume flower. I don't also consume vape or edibles or beverages, right? Like it's obviously, it might not be your daily. You're not, taking 100 milligram drink to the head every single day, right? There's people out there, I'm sure, no doubt. But your flower consumer is going to add a beverage to cart at retail, on
Big
a
time.
pretty consistent basis, right? More so than your Can of Curious is going to buy a 2 milligram or 5 milligram, right? Like, and even if that person doesn't smoke at all, right? Your traditional smoker. And that's one of the things I think when we look at all these forward thinking reports on everything. And again, I'm not trying to bash it, but where everyone gets so hype around the Can of Curious, they kind of leave off like, there's just this group of people that are purchasing cannabis. And just because you're a flower consumer doesn't negate that like you have this wall built around that SKU and that's the only thing you consume.
Yeah, I try to change that thought process daily in the stores, because you don't even know how many times I hear people just being like, "Oh, I only smoke flower." And I'm like, you're telling me, especially like if I'm pitching cannabis beverage or something like that, I'm always like, you're telling me you don't like weed? Like, it's all about the layering. You know what I mean? Like, after a full 8-hour day and working, just running Uncle Arnie's, I don't even consume cannabis during the day because there's just so much stuff going on between interacting with the other partners in the other sectors of our business, operations, stuff like that, or dealing with the sales team. Like, I have to wait until the end of the day because I can't handle both at the same time. When I smoke weed, I'm like, I'm ready to be shutting down, or I'm just relaxing or trying to not be on a high strung level. And it's all about the layering. Like, I'll get done with the gym. I don't want to, as much as I want to roll a joint and like make a steak, it's so much more complicated. And you're sitting here holding a joint in your mouth the entire time. So it's nice to be able to now have something where you can actually just pour 20 milligrams into a seltzer, drink that as you're making your dinner, already have your joint kind of already rolled ready after you're done eating your food. Maybe like 30 minutes kind of goes by, you wait for the drink to settle in. Now you can smoke the joint, or you can take a dab in between, right? And then smoke the joint waiting while you're watching a movie or something like that. So that's how I like to like always explain it to people is, you can now layer and kind of add, and it's all about how you blend and use cannabis all together. I've been smoking now longer than I haven't been smoking at this point in my life. I think I've been smoking cannabis for like 15 years or 16 years versus, the other 13 years of not consuming cannabis. So it's like, to me, it's baffling to sometimes to hear that. And it's just all about consuming it, And when it comes to the smaller sector, I think that there are cannabis consumers that live legacy within those consumers too, within the lower dose too as well. I don't even know if it frames around 100 milligrams per se, because there may be people that have been smoking flower for the last 20 years, but their body just can't handle edibles at all. And that's what's great about the low dose market, being able to live here, and the Keef Colas of the world or the marijuanas of the world, having those lower dose options to then level up and graduate to the Uncle Arnie's, or they see an Uncle Arnie's and they see this as more like a party style option, and they want to use that as they're trying to get new consumers on, or their friends and their families at parties or kids' birthday parties and stuff like that. So
I love what you said about layering it in, because for me, that's where beverages are really meant to be used. You drink water because you're thirsty and you need hydration. So you layer it in to the times you either can get water, or I've got a case of water bottles here to take it with me wherever I want to go and force it. Right.
Yeah.
And the idea is that I'm a medical patient, and there's a time and place for me to drink a 100 milligram beverage or to share it. I'm more likely to buy. I'm a very social person. I'm less likely to hand somebody their own can of a small seltzer that's $8 to $12 than I am to pour out drinks of 100 milligram Uncle Arnie's.
Yep.
For whatever reason, giving someone an $8 beverage of seltzer water with weed in it, although it might be something I buy all the time, it's one of those things where in the environment for social settings, which a lot of weed is shared and smoked and consumed in social settings, I would rather, instead of buying if I'm around 6 people all the time, I'm not going to hand 5 people an $8 can of this other stuff when I could pour individual shots, mix it with lemonade. Bam, we've got a delicious, Arnold Palmer. Here we go. Right.
Yeah.
So to me, those kinds of situations make a lot more sense. And there's been a lot of big businesses built on, being a social drink. There's been a lot of beverages successfully built on being, I'm going to drink it 1 can at a time, and it's going to be this. And so I found myself, it's funny, the rare occasion, alcohol makes me sick. Mitch knows this. I stopped drinking, frequently and socially and partying wise a long time ago. But I do still occasionally check to see if, a certain tequila will make me sick. I'll be in a certain situation celebrating when I need to take the shot of Hennessy and I'm smoking fire. So it's like, I'll do that and still check in and, see if I like certain things. The other day I drank 2 IPAs, Ave. I drank 2 IPAs and it didn't kill me, right? And smoking it with the joint and stuff tasted really great. But the difference is that layering it in, I was really forcing it, you know? And there's just no reason to do that in a lot of these situations anymore. So I feel like Uncle Arnie's to me is a really great brand and product. It's enjoyable. It tastes great. It smacks really hard. The science behind the product makes it work, And when you think about layering it in, for me as a user, man, it's the go-to thing that I'm going to bring if I'm trying to make a special kind of mimosa for somebody. It's the go-to thing that I'm going to make when I want fruit juices, actual fruit juices, right? To be using it as whether I want to drink it in the morning while I am cooking or mixing up a little mimosa or whatever it is. I think it's 100% the product that makes sense for those kinds of things. It's not necessarily designed to be used as this, to be compared to the seltzers. Like that's literally not even apples and oranges because you have that. It's literally like a artificial flavor versus a real thing over here. And it's like, to me, those beverages are going to do well. That's a fun situation in its own world. But in this particular instance, you guys, Mitch and I, you can go down to Oregon and you've been able to get fresh orange juice that's been infused for well over a decade. For you guys to come in and offer just an alternative is huge, let alone having the other fruit options as well. So my hat's off to the success of Uncle Arnie's. I really enjoy seeing your guys' rise to the top of the cannabis beverage space while cannabis beverages are rising in the industry.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I also like you brought up, Abe, the not taking the whole, consuming the whole thing.
Oh, I think he's fading out.
Uh-oh. We're having a little technical difficulties with Mitch. It's all good, though. He'll get that figured out. Abe, we've got a couple more questions. We want to dive in and learn a little bit more about, the crowdfund, what you guys have going on, and ultimately kind of just detailing out some of those key details for people looking to get involved, right?
For sure. Yeah, well, you can head over to SeedInvest.com. That's where that's crowdfund campaign platform that we're using right now. Big shout out to those guys for onboarding with us. I think we're one of the very first cannabis companies to even take a public crowdfunding opportunity for raising money. So, but we have raised, so far, a little background on it. We've raised 4.2 million already so far, all the way up until 2020 before we started doing this. We've been able to expand into 2 markets with that. We have currently right now out of the top 10 selling beverages in California, 7 of our 8 SKUs are in the top 10.
Wow.
We just sold over 1 million units already so far. You can also head over to UncleArnie'sInvestor.com too as well. That's our landing page. You can check out a little bit more high-level key points on, what makes it valuable to invest in us. It's a really low entry point too as well. That's what we found so beautiful about being able to provide this opportunity was having $1,000 buy-in in order to just get 10 shares in the company. So that was super, super valuable. And it's really just been the mission, and it's been a part of the mission since day one. It's just making affordable, quality, unique cannabis beverages and a unique cannabis brand for the people. And being able to provide this opportunity is something that, we found really beautiful and we're really excited to be able to do. So we have a cult-like following, so many people have been watching us since the very, very beginning. Since we started, the first 12 months that we started, we were able to scale into about 150 different stores across the entire state. some of those being like Cookies, Medman, even smaller mom and pop shots like Vibe by California. And yeah, we've been able to control the $10 100 milligram beverage space for the last 3 years, and we were the first $10 100 milligram beverage ever in the space here in California. I think we were the most affordable for those first 12 months. So
yeah,
able to really launch at an affordable price gave us the opportunity to to kind of control the beverage sector, at least in our lane. We take about 30% of all the beverage sales between the iced tea, lemonade, and fruit beverage segment of the 100 milligram space right now. So, if anybody that wants to invest, you're investing in a brand that's, owning and controlling the space right now and just trying to amplify for high dose at a low cost. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man, I swear, since I first saw you guys launch, it's really exploded to so many of the major locations. And then, as you said, the mom and pop, the more smaller, I'll call it more independently run operations, they also support because, while seemingly large, you guys are very lean. You have a very small and effective team. You have very strong strategic partners and operational partners, manufacturing partners. And so you guys have built out a very, we'll call it, dense, lean, strong foundation that's really allowed you guys to, as beverages continues to grow, you guys control enough of this market that you will continue to grow and rise naturally with it. So it's a very exciting opportunity. And thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Matthew, for posting the link on there. Shout out to all of our viewers everywhere right now. We're here with Ave Miller from Uncle Arnie's, talking through an investment round. And we have Mitch Pfeifer back
finally
from the Wi-Fi grave over here. How are you, my friend?
I don't know, man. I'd love to blame the storm, but I was telling Ave, man, we're from Seattle. We should know how to deal with this. I don't know what's going on up here.
Yeah,
man.
for sure. SF's getting rocked right now. But what you were saying, Joey, I appreciate that because it's just 12 of us right now running this ship, and between Gabby, DJ, the rest of the sales team, really running it, owning it. Ed, Christine, Alexis, they really the boots on the ground people, and then having the great strategic partnership with Herbal has really allowed us in the last 90 days, expand and really explode even more. I think that's what's really kind of put us on the map. It's something that it's been an opportunity and something that I've been trying to strive for our company for the last 3 years, was to get on a major distro platform, and launching up in Oregon too as well. The last 90 days, we've been able to scale into 60 dispensaries. Some of the largest ones like Nectar, we're launching in on February 1st with Nimble Distro, and they've been able to really take us to new heights with even their small team too as well. So I think leaning on the partners, having great strategic partnerships, and having great people to enter those markets with, and leaning heavy on them for sales support and having a great model has really been able to take us to new heights in general as a brand. So
absolutely. So you guys have raised a bit of money thus far, right? You said 4.2 million so far.
282,000 on SeedInvest too as well. So since we started, we've raised almost about 300K. So thanks to everybody that's put in money too.
So huge shout out to the supporters thus far. 282,000. You guys have the community out there. We've got until January 28th is when this all shuts down. You guys, in terms of people getting involved, we've got UncleArniesInvestor.com. You guys are, just recently entering into the Oregon cannabis industry. What are some of the other states that you guys are, looking forward to entering over the next year or so?
Well, we got a partnership with Highway Horticulture over in Massachusetts I'm fucking stoked for that state. I mean, that state is a blue ocean.
Yeah, Mass is exciting.
Yeah, between the market between there and also Oregon, it's so similar in a way that it's interesting how a lot of these markets are kind of leveling out and becoming similar in their own way between costs, just overall cannabis costs and cost per milligram. So I'm really excited about that state. We have a partnership locked in with Nevada too as well. That's still kind of coming online right now. And then also Arizona is some place that we're looking at also too as well. So those are the two that we're really trying to sprint and run for this year. And then hopefully next year it'll be like states like Colorado. If New York can, you know, continue to develop and become more sophisticated, New York will be a great one for us to move into next year. And then hopefully even Washington and some of those more even legacy and mature states. So
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, that plan right there is exciting in its own. There's a lot of opportunity in each of those markets you were just talking about, and having traveled to the majority of them, I'm personally excited to be able to continue going there and then go walk into a shop and be like, yo, the homie runs this. I actually have a share in this company. I really appreciate your support. Having all kinds of people all over the place is a whole different conversation and something I look forward to being a part of as the success continues rolling on. It's been fun seeing that thus far, and just knowing that like I can call you and be like, yo, I'm here right now.
yeah,
Call this person and make a move. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, hey, we got a move to make right now. We got to make some magic happen. So I'm personally excited to become a partner into all this through this opportunity. So thank you on behalf of Mitch and myself. I Respect My Region. He's clearly having internet opportunity or internet issues, which is weird because he doesn't usually have those issues. But regardless, we're going to continue on. I got some more questions because I want to learn, man. I'm an excited new partner. We want to see what's going on here coming up over the next year or so. So kind of going back to, you guys are clearly going to be expanding to these other markets. You have some major moves going on there in Oregon, a big time partner there with that Nimble distribution group you were mentioning, and launching into Nectar, right? In terms of Uncle Arnie's moves over the next year beyond Oregon, or even more strategic plans that you can unveil for California, what is on the immediate horizon for you guys?
Just continuing to expand our footprint across the nation, and here in California, we're going to continue to just try to expand into more stores. We just started our partnership with Stizzy. That's a pretty exciting one that has happened over the last couple months. We've been working on, we've been tossing around the idea on maybe some new flavors coming into the summertime, or even new product types too as well. So I think that's something really exciting that we're looking forward to over this next year, specifically in California. And just continuing to expand on this partnership with Herbal. I think that's been the biggest focus, is to continuing to invest in them and utilizing their platform to uplift us and continuing to develop our team, man. That's the thing that keeps me going every day, and keeps me excited about California, is letting my team continue to grow and run that operation themselves, and it being the true test of how we run and grow our operation as managing partners, So
yeah, absolutely. No, and that growth is going to lead to dollars. And so I know you're a big numbers guy. I see it on LinkedIn often. I love how data driven you are. So let's go ahead. Not assuming, but you guys are going to grind it out. You're going to hustle. The team is going to stick to it. You guys are going to see growth. In terms of growth over the years and what you guys are also projecting for 2023, let's work backwards a little bit here. What are you guys projecting this year after you guys kill it once again?
We're hopefully going to be hitting about 6 million this year overall in total, like internal wholesale sales. Mm-hmm. So that's what we have projected right now. We're already doing a little over $300,000 to $350,000 a month in sale, continuing to grow that to reach 6 million or more.
Absolutely. That's wonderful, man. And it takes, beverage and a $10 drink. It's not like you guys are selling, products like flour that's 3 times the price. Some of the top end flour, right? $30 eighths. So it's like you guys really have to move, open doors. It has to sell through. You really have to move units. The sales team has to be on top of making sure they're stocked. So that way everything really has to go forward. In terms of your guys' revenue last year and the year before, going back to 2020, can you run the people kind of back, kind of 2020 to now, and what the growth has been like over the years on this path to, $6.5, $7 million?
Yeah. Our first year, since we started May 2020, was $400K. That was our first year's revenue. Our second year's revenue was 1.3 million. That was in 2021. 2022, we did 2.6. And this year we're hoping to hit around 6 to 6.7 projected.
Absolutely. There
It's
we
been
go. There we
explosive growth, man. I mean, trying to
Man.
sprint for distro and sprint for product inventory and making sure that we're always just in stock between both of our manufacturing partners, because we have two that we run in the state. Not like most people. Most people just have one. We're just trying to produce as much as possible. So,
Man, monsters. You got to, I mean, again, there's a couple different paths to get it done. You guys are not shying away from really doing it, not to say the hardest way, but to at least the way that provides explosive growth like this.
absolutely.
All right. So I got to ask a couple quick questions for you before we get on out of here. Favorite flavor if you had to pick?
Man, I'm so biased with all of our flavors. I think that they all are meant for their own unique season. So right now I've really been feeling the sweet peach and the apple juice since we're in the fall time. And also the caffeine one. I really love that caffeine one. Just depends on what mood I'm in. If I'm mixing it, if I'm drinking it straight, I'm going for apple or peach right now. If I'm mixing it, I'm going either caffeine in the morning time, if I am consuming in the morning on the weekends. And then my overall one that I'm really been loving is the mango too, the magic mango.
Yeah.
That one's the best mixer in my opinion. Like out of all the flavors that we have on all 8 SKUs, like that one is the one that goes with any kind of seltzer, any kind of flavor soda. I'm really feeling that one.
Man, I love to hear that you are so passionate about each of these different ones. I know for me, the sweet peach is the given. I also am a big fan of the classic, the original, the Arnold Palmer lemonade, the classic, that to me was
Banger.
Banger.
Yeah, Matt did a great job formulating those, man. Shout out to Matt.
Big shout out to Matt. In terms of your guys' like top selling products or things of that nature, dosage and SKU. The people want to know what is that home run hitter every time, damn near every shop.
I mean, our top selling SKU, it's the number 2 selling SKU in the nation right now, is the iced tea lemonade. That's the number 1. I mean, all consumers are purchasing that for the 8 ounce right now. And then I think our number 1 2 ounce beverage that we have is the strawberry kiwi.
Wow.
Yeah.
Delicious. Absolutely delicious. All right, you guys heard it here first, man. Uncle Abe, Arnie's in the building. Let's go, man. You guys are doing big things. I really appreciate you being on the show today. We'll be keeping an eye on Uncle Arnie's and all the different things they have going on in the future. So make sure you guys tap in, follow, subscribe to all of their social media, start commenting and showing support. And of course, make sure to get involved. Abe, where can the people get involved at?
Check out SeedInvest.com or head over to UncleArnie'sInvestor.com too as well. I'll post it it's in my bio. You can check it out on my LinkedIn. It's on across all of our social media platforms. So, anybody who invests, you hear it from me first. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you, Joey, as always. Number 1, you've been the biggest supporter since the very beginning. You, Prayers, and a bunch of other guys, man. So I really appreciate y'all. And to be honest with you, without you exploiting us and giving us a platform to be able to speak, man, we probably wouldn't have had such a heavy run in the very beginning, man. So the community is what's made us successful. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate anybody that's putting $1 in. So
thanks for the love, my man. And shout out to all those original groups and, the homies and the supporters as well. And of course, too, this is a business. So shout out to those retailers out there doing their thing to support, give brands like Uncle Arnie's the opportunity. And thank you all for paying your bills too. We appreciate 100%. It as people trying to sell weed and continue doing this for the people. So Abe, I'm going to let you get to it. Thank you guys. Everybody, I believe this was episode 48 of the Morning Joint Podcast. I am one of your old co-hosts, Joey J. Ping. We have Abe Miller from Uncle Arnie's. We will see you guys next week.